Custom guitars, a segment of the gear market that, surprisingly, I have never paid any attention to. Why? Because I'm a cheap piece of human garbage.
Boo, you stink!
I'm also an impatient piece of human garbage. So the idea of dropping multiple thousands of dollars on a guitar and waiting up to 2 years to finally receive it doesn't really sit well with an extremely impulsive and very deal-oriented buyer. But today, that might actually change because I just received my very first guitar from one of the most popular custom builders here in the United States, and I think I'm in love. I want to plug this guitar in,
Tune it low,
and play some single-digit IQ riffs. So let's take the new KIESEL KYBER custom spec to yours truly for a little rippy-doo. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at the channel, my name is Kyle, and welcome, right on the nerve. Welcome to Belligerent Studios. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome high-gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E-standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes that constantly have to reshoot videos because they don't have a solid backup system, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on your way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks. So guys, KIESEL, a brand that I don't even think I've ever uttered the words for here on the channel. Absolutely nothing against KIESEL, but I kind of told you guys the reasons why in the beginning of this video. I generally just don't look at the new custom guitar market because I am just a cheap idiot who mostly gets into boomer style guitars and only buys them when they are feeling extremely impulsive and browsing Facebook Marketplace when they absolutely shouldn't be. So when KIESEL hit me up and asked me if I wanted to be part of the release for this new guitar, I was extremely honored and humbled and also extremely surprised. So I want to say thank you to KIESEL for honestly wanting to work with me at all. I think that's super cool. But I also want to say thank you to you guys, the viewer, because without your support, without you guys clicking on these videos and watching me just fumble my way through life and guitar riffs too sometimes, companies don't reach out to ask me to be part of things like this, and I don't get to do the cool stuff that I generally get to do. So seriously, huge thank you to you guys for always supporting the channel. I always tell people that I have one of the best audiences, one of the best communities around my channel in the gear space, and I genuinely mean that. But I also want to tell you, in the sake of full transparency, this is a sponsored video because let's face it guys, I am a soulless YouTube shill. All those nice fluffy words mean nothing, just give me your money! KIESEL have sent out this guitar and they are also paying me to share it with you guys here on the channel. So I absolutely wanted you guys to be aware of that, and feel free to take every last word, every last sentence, every last syllable with a massive grain of salt. But as always, I'm gonna give you guys my honest thoughts and opinions, so please try to keep that in mind as this video progresses. And this is where I give KIESEL yet another shout because they told me to make whatever video that I wanted with this guitar. They did not give me any talking points. They did not ask to review the content before it goes live. They sent me the guitar. They said, have fun, man. So with all that out of the way, guys, the KYBER is the new model that we are checking out here today from KIESEL. As you guys can see, this is kind of like a super strat slash Strandberg or headless or whatever you want to call it, amalgamation with a super cool, super modern style headstock, which is kind of reminiscent of like the Black Machine type thing. And dude, I'm about it. I think this is actually super sick. So the meaning behind the name KYBER is some really nerdy shit, bro. The KYBER is apparently a crystal that gives power and it gives color to an iconic futuristic saber weapon. I am literally reading that word for word off of the sheet that they sent me because I have no idea what it's from, if it's from anything. If that's a pop culture reference, please let me know, and I will proceed to make fun of you down in the comments. But based on that description, it is absolutely fitting because extremely modern looking guitar, extremely modern in the way that it is spec'd out because it is very thin, it has lots of bevels, really extreme bevels, and it is extremely light. The info sheet that they sent says that they try to keep this model to as close to 6 pounds as possible. And I believe every word of that because this is maybe one of the lightest guitars that I have ever had my hands on. And I gotta tell you, as I approach 40 years old, my back is definitely gonna love that. And they also said that this model was designed with comfort in mind as far as different playing styles and different playing positions. As far as the body shape itself, obviously extremely modern shape. You guys know me, I typically go for super boomer guitars and I don't get too into the modern stuff, so I'll be 100% honest, I don't hate this shape, but it's definitely not one that I would like search out for myself. But in saying that, looking at it in the camera, everything looks out of place on me because I'm just an ugly, awkward weirdo. But in reality, I would have absolutely no problem being seen in public with this guitar. I can only imagine how much KIESEL is regretting sending me this guitar already. But again, shape is a personal preference thing, so I have a feeling people who are into the more modern shapes are gonna love this. And the really cool thing that I haven't mentioned yet is they actually spec'd this out for me and surprised me with it. I actually didn't know what the model or shape was or any of the specs or anything before they sent it to me, and I basically unboxed it as a complete blind reveal. And I gotta say, as far as like the fit and finish type stuff, they nailed it for me because, I mean, silver burst. You guys know that I love me a good silver burst. You guys also know that I love me a plain ebony fretboard. So as far as the aesthetic choices, they nailed it. So we're gonna go over the specs of the guitar that they sent me here in just a second, but I did wanna note KIESEL is aiming at a $15.99 introductory price for the base model. I am not sure if mine is a base model or not. There isn't really anything like special or crazy about it as far as specs, but just keep in mind that is an introductory price and it is a base model price. But considering it is a USA made guitar, KIESEL is made in California, a $15.99 base price on a custom guitar, that's pretty sick. So real quick, let's talk about the specs because I want to plug this thing in and play it. I actually already shot this video once and my files were corrupted, so that's super sick, but it just gives me another chance to play this guitar on camera all over again. And the really cool thing about it is that extra time with the guitar gave me enough time to put a nice scratch in the clear coat of this guitar, which literally seemed to appear out of nowhere because, well, I guess probably not too hard to imagine that I scratched the guitar. So yeah, everything's fine, it's fine. So we have an alder body with a roasted maple neck. My particular model here has an ebony fretboard. We've got a 25.5-inch scale with stainless steel jumbo frets. They loaded mine up with the KIESEL lithium pickups. And honestly, I'm super happy that they did because I have read about these pickups so many times and people just constantly talked about how much they love these pickups for the high gain stuff. And I absolutely understand why now after playing them, so we'll dig more into that, obviously. Super, super simple controls. We've got a 3-way pickup switch for our 2 lithium humbuckers, and then we've got a push-pull volume pot to split these babies up. I won't be doing any of that loser shit today, but super simple, just the way I like it because my brain can't really handle anything else. I do also want to point out that these are like a brushed black pickup cover that looks absolutely sick. I'm probably gonna bribe KIESEL to somehow get me some more of these things because they look ridiculously cool in my personal opinion. And then they went with some chrome pull pieces to really kind of just set it off Madball style. We've got a hip shot style bridge here. I'm not sure if it's actually a hip shot bridge, which I would imagine it is, but it doesn't say on my paperwork. So fans of hip shot bridges will be psyched. And because I love to do things out of order, we already touched on the neck and fretboard specs, but as far as the actual side inlays, these are the glow in the dark style side dot inlays. So, and off the Facebook groups, you play this thing live, you're actually gonna be able to see what you're playing, although it won't matter because nobody will be there to see your band. And moving to the headstock of the guitar, this is one of the most striking parts of the guitar. As far as I know, I don't know that KIESEL has ever done these style headstocks. They call it the weaponized headstock in the paperwork, and that is perfect because after I walk off the stage from one of my band shows, I can use it to perform harakiri on myself for messing up the same riffs that I've been playing for 20 years now. So that is a really nice touch, and then on top of it, we have an ebony overlay, and they have a truss rod cover delete on the paperwork for mine. Moving to the back, we have a slight volute at the top of the neck, and then we have KIESEL branded locking tuners. And because I'm bad at my job, one of the most important things that I didn't mention right off the bat was that this is a bolt-on style neck. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it as far as the specs. So now that we have gone over all the specs and information on the guitar, let's plug this thing in, and I'll warn you ahead of time, we're gonna have some fun. Let's do it. All right, guys, so we have the KYBER plugged in here to a very standard selection of amplifiers, and that is to give you a good idea of how this amp sounds through an amp that you're probably familiar with. I called the guitar an amp. I'm fucking up already. All three of these amplifiers are going into a Mesa traditional 4x12, SM57, and an MD421U on the stock Vintage 30. And for that intro tone, we were going into my PV5150 here. We were boosting it with a Lichtlärm King in Yellow. So let's revisit that intro tone because I think it's pretty damn sick. Guys, so we are actually in D standard tuning because they shipped me this guitar with some pretty thick boy strings on here, so I just wanted to tune it down a little bit where the string tension made a little bit more sense. But also, as you guys can hear, these pickups have a lot of upper mid and a lot of treble bite, and that's not a bad thing in my opinion at all. They have tons and tons of articulation. In fact, they are one of the clearest pickups that I have ever heard. And while for me personally, they're not great for the E standard thing because they are very, very bright and very biting, when you start to tune this guitar down, dude, like you are going to have just a ridiculous amount of articulation. If you're used to like EMGs or even like a Seymour Duncan JB, these things are going to blow it out of the water as far as clarity and articulation and note separation go. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, overall, first impressions, I guess you could call them, even though this is the second time I'm shooting the video because I'm a pro. The guitar, again, incredibly comfortable to play. The tuning, rock solid on this thing. Once I get it into tune, I seriously don't have to touch it. And I am a hard picker, and so a lot of guitars don't last very long with my big stupid ham hands plunking away at them. But no issues with tuning stability on this guitar so far. I do also want to make a comment about the neck stability on this thing. We have gone through a weather swing since I've gotten this guitar. Haven't had to adjust the truss rod on it, and I've had to make some pretty major adjustments to some of my other guitars in that time. So I'm already starting to see that this guitar is going to be a really, really nice workhorse for a new band that I just joined that I will reveal in another video later this week. But that new band tunes down to C standard and drop A sharp, and I think this is going to be a perfect guitar for that project. So yeah, I'm like all smiles as far as this guitar goes so far. Really, really happy with it. Let's tune down and play a drop C hardcore riff. So one thing that really stands out to me right away, dude, I have issues with intonation on so many guitars when playing. Those inverted power chords and drop tunings. This thing is just, it's intonated so well. Not even a hint of those two notes being like out of intonation with each other on those reverse power chords. That's huge. Stood out to me the very first time that I played the guitar. And yeah, was super, super happy with that. The action is incredibly low. We've got 0 sharp fret ends on this thing, and those rolled fretboard edges feel super nice. The guitar, guys, is a ton of fun to play. Like, I'm having a lot of fun making this video just because the tones are good, playability is good, I'm not fighting the tuning at all. This is just an absolute A+ experience for my very first KIESEL guitar, so I'm having a good time. Let's move on to the Marshall. Alright guys, so through the DSL 50, we are boosting it with the Boss SD1 Wazacraft. It was just kind of making me smile because the articulation on those little accents in between the chugs on that leeway riff just stood out. And not only did they stand out because they were clear, but also that intonation, man. I know I keep going over this, but like some guitars just are really, really hard to intonate and you can struggle with them forever and they still won't, you know, necessarily be 100% right. This guitar is 100% right, dude. And everything just sings from it. It sounds super, super good. So real quick, let's compare it to a couple of other guitars with different pickups just so you guys can kind of get a feel for how this guitar with the lithiums sounds. Okay guys, so after hearing those guitars back to back, I still think that the lithium was just like noticeably more articulate. Just a overall like a cleaner, more surgical sounding pickup. If you make a lot of mistakes, like I do, I think this pickup's gonna make you pay for it in that upper mid bite and that top end clarity. And even though I feel like this is a pickup that's probably more oriented towards modern lead players, I think for me personally, tuning lower down to that A sharp or the C standard, I think this pickup is going to be absolutely perfect for that. And even here in D standard and drop C, like, I'm loving it, dude. Really happy, having a lot of fun. Let's move to the Mesa. Dude, that amount of clarity out of a Mesa rectifier, like, I love rectifiers, but they are a muddy amp, and the clarity that I'm getting out of this guitar and this setup right now is super, super good. That was a super lame way to describe that, but I'm having fun, so leave me alone! Alright, yeah, I mean, there's not a single bad thing that I can say about the actual playing experience of this guitar, dude. It is just seriously so good. It's easily among the top 5 guitars that I have ever personally owned. Just that intonation and the action, like, man, everything about it. I actually kind of hate that this is a sponsored video because I know people are going to accuse me of just fluffing this guitar up because I'm being paid to do so, but that is seriously not the case. That could not be further from the truth, guys. I even said, like, the body shape, not necessarily for me, but the guitar itself, dude, is phenomenal. And I will absolutely be looking into KIESEL more after this because I'm seriously blown away by how good this guitar is. So let's dial in one last, let's see if we can kind of thicken up the clarity of these pickups a little bit, if you know what I mean. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me today on the all-new KIESEL KYBER. What did you guys think about this new body shape from KIESEL? Is this baby right up your alley, or do you want to smash it off the head of the nearest person that you dislike? Let me know down below in the comments. Again, today is the release for this guitar, so head on over to the links down below if you want to check them out, spec one out for yourself. Base model starts at $15.99, and that is a limited time price. Huge shout again to KIESEL for sending this guitar, which you guys are definitely going to be seeing here on the channel in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss any more of my terrible forced jokes. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.